Fallen angel here. Um, I wanted to do another Magic of Christmas. This um involves the nickname for Santa Claus, which is Saint Nick. Um, People often wonder what where did where did the spirit of Santa Claus come from? This is not going to be made for children. I wouldn't want children to see this because um yeah, I don't want to be the reason why they don't believe anymore. Hi Canadian witches, hi Kenneth, the Kentucky family. It's good to see you. You guys make sure to share this out. Let's see if I can share it out. I'm not sure. Let's see if I can get this going. Accidentally hit the wrong button. Hi Ray the fam. I'm on my page. It is good to see you. I know it's the holidays. I know um so I'm kind of like wondering if I should or shouldn't go live. Sorry, my YouTube page for some reason wanted to start talking. I had it muted. And I do want to say Merry Christmas Eve to everybody. Um, you feared Santa as a child, Mama Page? That's something that I feel like there's probably a lot more children than people realize actually got kind of scared of Santa. But people wonder um, where did the icon for Santa Claus come from? What is the backstory to the nickname St. Nicholas, which is associated with Santa Claus? And yeah, that's what I will be discussing. And like I said, I do not want children to see this necessarily because I don't want to be the reason they stop believing. Um, so, and with that being said, Okay. New intro there. I figured show that just to see if it's gonna work. But yeah, Saint Nick, if people don't realize, I mean, people think of Santa Claus as a fictional character, never really based on anybody or anything. It's just an idea somebody just come up with, and that's not exactly true. Hi, Joshua Co. It is good to see you, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And thank you for stopping by. And Saint Nick actually was. They said he was a monk. Some people say that um, he was just a person like a people call them nomads, people that travel and don't stay in one place, um, just kind of doing things their own way. And I do want to encourage guys, if you have children that are listening to this, that um, this episode definitely is not for them. This is just informational. This is stuff that I found um, for Saint Nicholas that I found it was interesting. I felt like it needed to be shared. I may not be able to do this episode on Christmas Day, so I figured why not go ahead and do it today. Moving right along, Saint Nick um, was a real person, and they say that he was a monk. Okay, his real name um they called him Saint or Nicholas of Myra, but he was also known Nicholas of Bari, which back then were countries or territories that no longer really exist that today. Um, as a child, um, Saint Nicholas lost his parents. Sadly, um, but the thing was, he was very, very wealthy, and his uncle was a part of the Christian faith, raised him pretty much in church. When he got old enough to be able to go out on his own, he would go do different travels. If you guys remember, I told you guys about the tradition of Christmas stockings and the fact that the Christmas stockings was something that Saint Nicholas had done. It became a legend that he threw coins into these stockings that were hung by the chimney in order, basically in order to save these three young women from becoming prostitutes or slaves, so they could get married and be able to have a better life. And that family was really poor. Well, he didn't do just that. He went around giving the poor some of his wealth. Where he could help people out, he did. And eventually, he worked towards becoming a priest in the church. And when I say in the church, it is back then what we now consider Catholic faith. and they he climbed a ladder, and after he passed, of course, there's a lot of things to name people in sainthood. When he passed, there's certain legends and things, stories of people's lives that people decide, okay, this is where we feel like he is a saint, and they do name him as a saint. Saint Nicholas is, um, I got to get my notes. I'm sorry. Um, he is the patron saint of sailors, merchants. I'll get into that in a second. Archers, repentant thieves, meaning thieves that decided that they were, um, what they were doing was wrong. They wanted to repent of what they were doing, which can be, um, really hard for anybody to stand up to say, hey, I know what I did was wrong. He was also the patron saint of prostitutes, but also of children, people that, are called brewers, pawnbrokers, and students. Um, he was well known across the area, across the land, as being a gift giver. And he really, um, I think that's why today in society, they push so hard on buying things up for the spirit of Christmas, because that, in part, um, of Saint Nicholas being a patron of merchants, not just children, which to me is kind of sad and kind of contradictory, because you want what's best for our kids, you want to give them the best, and to celebrate both the fact that we have retail, the fact that we have people that are willing to sell goods that you normally would not ever get if you made it homemade, or even had the idea to make it yourself. And on top of that, giving children what they want and not just what they need. And St. Nicholas was good about giving to people in need, giving to the poor, giving doing what he could to help other people out, which I found very unique. And I found that people, you know, we judge each other, we put each other down, and that's just part of human nature. But there are a lot of reasons why you shouldn't put people down. You shouldn't throw people to the side. We should be all trying to help each other. Set aside differences, set aside things, especially when people are in need. And I do want to say hi to Miss Colleen Paranormal, uh, my Q's, Pearly May, Little Red, the fam, hello, Nerdy Tags, Missy Brash, and for St. Nicholas, it's one of those things that stories that are told by word of mouth that he was able to accomplish actually became greater than just himself. And I believe that's why we have Christmas now with jolly old Saint Nick and him jumping down the chimney and all that stuff. That spirit that he brought to the world, which in a way is not uncommon, but it's not. Um, it wasn't uncommon, but there was just far and few between people that stand out. And they actually celebrate um, on December 5th and December 6th. Um, Pretty much, they give a feast for Saint Nick, and they believe that's the day that he had passed away. Um, he's um, he is celebrated on a different day actually than just Christmas Day. Uh, he Because of the fact that he had a tendency to really not want to be known, he wanted to remain anonymous. There is actually very little about his life and about the things that he would do to become a saint. A lot of them are just legends, theories of what he um, would accomplish in his time. And there are some other stories that are floating around of what he would do, which probably led to him becoming a saint after he had passed. Um, I've heard that he had calmed a storm when the storm during the time that he was traveling on at sea. He actually supposedly saved three innocent soldiers of being executed. He saved them because they were wrongfully convicted. And even he was cast into he was put into prison actually. Um he was but after he been in prison for a little while, he was actually released. And part of that is from the fact that a Roman emperor named Constantine the Great, actually, he ended up becoming one that would bring Christianity into the mix of Rome. And it became, that's part of because Nicholas was so devout to his faith, and because there was kind of a similarity, and must have found evidence that Nicholas was harmless, they released him. They ended up actually naming a church after Nicholas after he had passed. And it's called St. Nicholas Church, and at that time, the area known as Myra. That's where St. Nicholas's remains were laid to rest. And then there was a whole big to do, and he ended up being moved to the Basilica of San Nicola. Um, and like I said, he actually was an orphan. His parents died when he was young, but because he was born into a wealthy family, he actually took, instead of using the wealth for himself and making things greater for him where he had one of those carefree lives like a lot of aristocrats would do. He used the money to help the poor and those who were sick. And there's just a few stories that have been told about his generosity. And the biggest thing about him was he did not want to be really known for that. Part of it was he felt the need to share the wealth, to help others. And he just, to me, it's just really interesting to find all these different things about Santa Claus, about Saint Nick. And I believe that's why we have Santa Claus today. Uh, the little icon that we have of Santa Claus is not exactly what you would think. We see Santa Claus as a jolly old man in a big red suit, and he brings toys to good children, which too many similarities means that they made Saint Nick into an easier mold of where everybody can understand and everybody can become, be a believer in that spirit. It really, the name Saint Nicholas didn't actually come into America until the late 1700s. Dutch families migrated here and actually started bringing what the Dutch called Sinterklaas into the mix. So other countries have different little beliefs about actual Santa Claus, which is interesting to find in itself. And Sinterklaas, Klaas, is a shortened form of Saint Nicholas in Dutch. One of the icons is from a historical society, actually, in 1800s. It shows the background of like an engraving what we see as Santa Claus now. Um, of course, stories about what and traditions and legends from different countries ended up forming what we see today. Now, and of course, you see shopping mall Santas, you hear the stories, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. You see so many different things about Santa Claus. I figure why not also share some of the things that I found that happen in other countries. Good morning, Renee Ray and Country Girls Go Hunting, and What the Paranormal's. Good to see you guys. talking a little bit about Saint Nicholas and Santa Claus. um, they have a name, kind of like a nickname in different places. They call him Chris Kringle or Cross Kind, meaning cross child or cross lock. Um, and cross kind is like an angel figure, which is accompanied by Saint Nicholas while he's going around giving presents. In Scandinavia, you guys know that Santa Claus has elves that help him in his mission to make toys for all the children in the world. In Scandinavia, a jolly elf was thought to deliver gifts in a sleigh drawn by goats. Little fun fact there. An English legend also explains that Father Christmas visits each home to fill children's stockings with holiday treats. Pierre Noel is responsible for filling the shoes of children in France, and I can't even pronounce this, in Russia. They believe that an elderly woman named Babaushka purposefully gave the wise men wrong directions to Bethlehem. So in turn, she felt remorseful of that, and so she would give gifts to the children of Russia, hoping that was those one of those children would be Jesus. Merry Christmas to you too, Colleen. Hi, John Shelton. It's good to see you. Libras Rule, hello. Jen, it's good to see you. And there is another story in Italy that I will get into a little bit, try to get into a little more detail at a later time. But in Italy, there is a story about a woman named La Befana. So there are different legends in different countries similar to Santa Claus. Um, of course, we all know the little different things about Santa Claus that we hear all the time in here in America. Um, the song Santa Claus Coming to Town and all that good stuff. And seeing what it was back then to seeing what it is now, there's been a lot of different changes. There's just so many things that you could go into detail about, but it could take hours and hours. Um, the the story about Saint Nicholas I felt was also important for people to know because one person I do that because one person can make a difference in people's lives, and not only that, him even still, Saint Nicholas being the person being passed, the ideas and things that he done back then still reside with us today, and he happened to be able to make it happen for what he could do, which I found really interesting and really amazing that one person was able to sit down and choose to do what he could do with the means that he had. He was lucky in the fact he had wealth, but he didn't have to do what he did. And I think that's a lot of what we end up doing around Christmas time. We take when we can, we take what we have or what we can do and help other people out. And I know some people say, I don't believe in Christmas because the idea of Christmas shouldn't be just one day or one time of the year. It should be done throughout the entire year. Oh, wow. Hi, Gaffer Haynes and Canadian Witches. Thank you for the raid. Excuse me. Container Man. Welcome, welcome. And yeah, you're right, Mama Page. It's one person's kindness, and I don't believe he technically sacrificed everything that he had. He probably used some to survive on, but for the majority of his wealth, it is said that he took it and gave it to people who were poor and sick. And it shouldn't be just, like I said, one time a year. Hi, Nancy Jones. It's good to see you, and thank you for being part of the raid. Thank you, Redneck Connection. Much love to you. Um, yeah, I do want to say, in researching for this, I do want to encourage people because even St. Nicholas did not do this giving to the poor, giving to children, giving to the sick one time a year. He done it throughout the entire year. In a lot of ways, I feel like we should, where we can, give to other people and give to others that we know we're not going to be able to do what they can do. Whether it get medical attention, get their bills in order so they can progress and be able to get better and get out of the situations they're in and whatnot. Hi, Spirit Vox. Good to see you. And awesome. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Um, and to me, I thought it was awesome, and I wanted to bring that to you guys. The story about St. Nicholas and the story about how St. Nicholas ended up pretty much becoming Santa Claus. There's just too many stories to go through when it comes to Santa Claus. And it's, probably one of the biggest stories, other than a more religious look at it, to bring to the table. Mama Page says, challenge to us all, spread the love each day, anytime you're able. It doesn't have to be just money. Love covers so much. And I have to agree. For me, because I don't have necessarily the money to do anything, like to go buy people any gifts, to send money where people are in need. Instead, where I can is help, with my knowledge and help make things better for them when it comes to like being on the YouTube platform can be technical. So I do want like to give my time and my patience most of the time to helping others be able to start getting their YouTube channels coming up and encourage them to keep going. because there's not a lot of people that have that. So that's what I do with my time, and I spend my time as much as I can helping others. Now, there are some things that I do that I feel like I need to do for myself, but for the most part, I do try to do everything I can to help other people. And hi, Dave Larson. It is good to see you. Thank you for being part of the raid. And thank you, the Redneck Connection. I appreciate that, Ken. You guys are awesome. And yes, I do want to challenge you guys. You don't have to spend money to help people that need the help. Sometimes it's just lending an ear to the frustrations that they're having at that time. Maybe they're lost, they need some kind of direction. Maybe give a little advice to what you think would be better to help them. Um, and don't ever feel like giving becomes, to me, giving becomes second nature, but it's also one of those things you have to really focus on and work with. Um, and like I said, you don't have to be wealthy to help people out. And just giving time to people that might not have the interactions like most people do on a daily basis. Um, Hi, Valerie. It's good to see you. It's cool, Pearly May. I appreciate it. Um, with me, I love being able to edit videos and make videos and doing live streams like this. I I like get. I don't give advice, but I do share. Try want to share stories, want to help others become um, more aware. So a lot of my stuff is more informational than it is just my opinion. I always look at as many situations as I can, both sides of the story, where I can get it before I ever make an opinion. And I feel like that's kind of how we all should be. And for me, I would do love to give my time to helping others. If I could get out and help the homeless, spend money to get make little packages, giving those away, stuff like that, I would be doing that. I really would. And like I said, the things that Saint Nicholas had done in his lifetime, I believe we need to not just do it around Christmas time. We should be striving to do it every single day where we can. That doesn't mean give your last dollar that you have for food to the person next door. It means make sure, it also means to make sure that you're took care of too, as much as you take care of others. Hi, Carolina, the comfort zone. Hi, not paranormal. And thank you, what the paranormal. I really appreciate that. I really do. And hi, Melinda. So, yeah, I wanted to say happy Christmas Eve. And again, none of this was meant for kids at all. I do not want to be the reason why somebody may not believe in Saint Nick. But the thing is, the spirit of Santa Claus really is a spitting image of Saint Nicholas. And seeing him as a saint for merchants and a saint for children, kind of makes sense to me why they would nickname Santa Claus Saint Nick. So, what do you guys think? And I've been told that there is a glitch um in the YouTube side of things. I am going to try to see if this will allow you guys to come up, even for just a little bit. We can all uh hmm, that worked. You guys are I'm gonna invite you guys to be able to come up and we can kind of discuss the different if you want to discuss Santa Claus or something that you're doing um that you really like to bring awareness to that you're doing to help others, any of that. It's whatever, and if you guys want to come up, you're more than welcome to. You are right, Pearly May. You don't know what people are going through. And one of the biggest pet peeves my family has said, don't judge others. You don't know what's going on in their life. And who knows, you might end up in the same situation. I don't know where my headset's at in case somebody decides to come up. But yeah, I do not want to be considered the party crasher of Santa Claus. Trying to find where the end of my headset went to. There it is. And I get what you're saying, Wild Edibles. At at Christmas time, I understand little kids. And I hope you do as well what the paranormal. I really hope you have a Merry Christmas. And I hope you take care. Hi, Hunters of the Unknown. It's good to see you. Um, and Melinda, I really don't want to be throwing anything under the bus about Santa Claus in case there are children in here that decide they wanted to come see. This is not made for kids, but kids can still listen to it. Um, but I believe that's part of the magic of Christmas is knowing what is the traditions and knowing what is behind um, all of the things that we have as a tradition, like what you know, reason why I've got so many different traditions I'm talking about. I really do enjoy it because it all comes down to helping others, thinking about thinking about others, and making people's day, making them happy. And Melinda, there's a lot of people that are aware and other people that are dealing with the same thing. So and I hope you do have a Merry Christmas, Melinda. And wild edibles, I do kind of understand to a I can understand to a point because I'm not exactly been where you're at. That they should, I understand they should kind of do something throughout the year and not just on one day of the year. And that's why I'm very encouraging to take the take what Saint Nicholas done and not just do it one time of the year. Do it throughout the year when you can and when you have a chance to. And it does not necessarily mean let yourself starve so that way you can help other people. You also, the important thing is you have to take care of yourself as well. Um, One of the biggest things. But I did want to encourage y'all, and I felt like this was a good story to tell right before Christmas time. But I guess I will let you guys go. You guys take care. Have a very Merry Christmas. And just remember, you never know what's out there until you spread your wings and fly.